And hello, hello, hello. I am Shawnee Godwin, CEO of Communicate USA and founder of Joy Economics, creating better ways to live, work, and play. And I have the esteemed privilege of working with women entrepreneurs who know they are called to do great work in this world. Women who are bold, powerful, and fearless, and women who want to use their natural gifts, their natural talents, and all that God created them to be who they are supposed to be in this world, while they scale and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures, show up in the world bright, beautiful, and bold, and use their personal stories, their natural talents and gifts to connect with their customers, save more time, and have a lot more fun and joy along the way. So today we are going to talk about the power of stinkin' thinking. And I want to give you some tips so that you can get out of that negative mindset, so that you can shift things in your favor, show up in the world, and go after everything that God's promised you. So if that sounds good to you and it sounds like something you're all about, then come on in here and let's get started. Class is in session. So today we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about the power of stinkin' thinking. You guys, I love this topic. And early in my business, have to confess, I admit it, I had a lot of stinkin' thinking going on up here. I didn't necessarily know who I was. I wasn't really aware of how awesomely powerful and gifted I was. And so I let my stinking thinking, which is basically limited thinking, lower level thinking, stand in my way. So I want to tell you this story. There was this conference that a friend of mine called me and said, "Have you heard of the Odyssey conference?" And I was like, "No, I haven't heard of it." And essentially she was like, "I just went to the most amazing conference ever. There were all kinds of amazing powerhouse women there. I got to have lunch with Cookie Johnson, Magic Johnson's wife, and I got to meet Shaka Khan and Holly Robinson Peete and all of these great people." And she was like, "I really want to give you an invite. It's invitation only, and I want to give you an invite to come to this event. And I think you'd be great, and you will get so much amazing networking done. You just have to come." And so I said, "That sounds really expensive. Like, how much is that?" And she dropped the price point on me, and I was like, "Okay, I respect you, because the person invited me to this conference I had a lot of respect for. But that price tag, I was like, I need to think about it." Or as we say, "Can I pray on that?" So I went back and I really started thinking of it, and I convinced myself that I didn't belong at this conference because I wasn't in the entertainment industry, and in reality, I didn't think that I belonged. So I remember talking to my sister about it and saying, "I've been invited to this big event, and this conference sounds amazing, but it's not really my target audience. And I'm not really trying to do business with Shaka Khan, so I can't figure out if it really makes sense for me to go to this event and this conference." And my sister said something to me that really changed and shifted something in me. And she said, "Why do you think you shouldn't be at the conference? Why do you not think that you are supposed to walk and network and connect with great people doing great things? Why do you not feel that you belong there? You absolutely belong there." And so I took a chance on her advice, because I have to admit, I don't know that I even still believed it. I really signed up for the conference and went in with a very skeptical eye, like, okay, what is this gonna be about? And when I tell you, this community and this network of women changed my life, changed my world, changed my mindset for the better, she was right in believing in me, because I absolutely needed to be there. I found myself in a community of women of color of all levels in corporate America, women who were struggling with some of the same mindset things that I was, women who had conquered those demons and were showing up in the world as their great, beautiful, big, and bold selves. I got to meet some great, fun entertainers, but more importantly, I got to surround myself with a community of women who had been there, who had done that, and who had preceded me on the path and the journey that I was on. And so this community has become one of my greatest tribes, one of my greatest assets. I have grown and learned and acquired so much information and knowledge. And had it not been for a friend who saw that in me and a sister who pushed me out of my stinking thinking, I would have missed that moment. I would have missed that opportunity to up level, and I would have missed out on so many blessings that God was trying to impart in my life just because of my own narrow and limited negative mindset about who I was and who I was called to be in my business. So today we're talking about the power of stinkin' thinking. Yes, I said it. We are going to bust through those areas in your mind that may be holding you back, and we are going to expel this stinking thinking for good. So if you're ready, let's get started. I've got 3 ways that you can combat and fight back against that stinking thinking. And the first thing I want you to do is name the voice. Name the voice of that mean girl who is in your head. She sits for me kind of like right about here, and she's always, yeah. You can't do that. You're not good enough for that. You don't belong there. We need to give her a name and tell her, once you name her, to have several seats. You know, the writers in my writing community know that I make them name the name of the mean girl in their head. So I'll confess, my mean girl's name is Wheezy, and I have to tell Wheezy to have several seats on several occasions. And the reason I have to name her is because I need to be able to recognize her when she shows up with her stinking thinking, depositing negative thinking, diminishing thoughts, things that are not of God, and things that are not true about who I am and who I am called to be in this world. When I can name her, I can hear her more clearly. I can separate, as they say, the wheat from the chaff, and essentially diminish her and push her back where she belongs, so that Shawnee in all of her goodness and all of her glory can come forth, snatch that mic from her and say, you know what, we're doing this doggone thing. So that is my first tip for you today. Name the voice. Name the voice of that critic that sits inside of your head and says mean, non-supportive things to you. Which brings me honestly to tip number 2, mind your community. And honestly, I need to change that to mine, M-I-N-E, your community. You know, you have got to be careful who you let into your space. People have a very easy way of depositing things and thoughts and negative thinking in our spirits. And if we are not guarding our hearts and guarding our minds and paying attention to what people are depositing in us, we can find ourselves off track very quickly and very easily, spiraling into a sea of negative, stinking thinking. So I want you to be consciously aware of who you are listening to and who you are letting deposit seeds into your mind, your psyche, your soul, and your spirit. Now, this is not to say that we want to be elitist and we want to cut people out and shift people to the side, but I do need you to know who you are. And I do need you to be aware of when people are projecting their own insecurities onto you, when people, because they are envious of you, are depositing things in you to throw you off track. And while we don't want to believe people would do these things intentionally, the subconscious has a way of working against people, and the subconscious has a way of keeping people comfortable. And sometimes people, in order to be comfortable with you because they see your greatness, they will pull you down. They will deposit negative seeds. Are they doing this purposefully? Possibly. A lot of times there are thinking constructs working in them. And if you're not careful, they will pass that stinking thinking on to you. So my tip number 2 is to really guard your heart and guard your mind from people in your community who also have stinking thinking and could be roadblocks and barriers to where God is calling you. Mine your community. Which brings me to tip number 3. Feed your mind and spirit good food. You know, we are so focused on our bodies a lot of times and nurturing our bodies and working out and making sure that we are physically whole and healthy and happy. But what about the spirit and the soul that lives within? Now, I am not going to tell you what to believe or who to believe or how to believe, but I do think it is very important that you believe in a higher source and a power higher than you. For me, that source is God, and I make it an intentional effort, and I put intentionality into cultivating and growing my relationship with God. You know, the Bible tells us that the body is a temple, and the body is our temple. And while we do oftentimes a great job of taking care of our physical temple, that temple ultimately is meant to nourish and to protect and encase your spirit. And so just like you work out your body physically, make time to work and nurture and work out your spirit life. That's right. Taking time to pour positivity into your spirit, whether it's a devotion, a book, a spiritual book or practice that brings you life, peace, refuels you, that reminds you of who God says you are, is so important. And it also helps us combat the lies and the negativity that are constantly coming our way when we're in business and we're in our daily lives and in the world. It's very hard to fight back against stinking thinking if you have no fuel, if you don't know who God says you are, if you have no concept of who you really are and the power that you really have. And so one of the things that I like to do for myself is wake up early in the morning, carve and set aside time to spend intentional time journaling, meditating, praying, reading my scripture, reading a devotional, or doing something that pours into my spirit so that when I am up against voices and negativity and people that mean me harm and no good, it is easy for me to recognize them, spot them, and I am able to replace the negative track line and the negative storyline with positive, value-added word and truth that I know to be real, that I know to be reflective of who God says I am. And I'm able to use that fuel to show up and spread love and positivity to all of the people in my tribe and do the work that God has called me to do. You know, in reality, it's quite simple. Our thoughts lead to our feelings and emotions. And once our feelings and emotions take root, those feelings and emotions quickly become our actions and our behaviors. So I want you to pause this week. I want you to examine where you may have some self-limiting beliefs that you want to improve, that you want to adjust, that you want to shift and move toward positive, more affirmative thoughts. I want you to examine the people that you're surrounding yourself with and make sure that you get yourself in a good tribe of women and people who support you. Women who have been there and know what they're talking about because they've lived out the path that you're about to walk on and go down. And I want you to do the same and pour that same energy and those lessons that you've learned back into someone else. You know, we're not meant to do this life alone. There is power in community, and I would absolutely be honored and love it if you join and be a part of my community. So I want to invite you to do something today. If you're looking for a tribe, a community, a network of women entrepreneurs that you can lock arms with, grow with, love on, and up level with this year as you get all this goodness in the world, then do me a favor. be sure to subscribe to my Instagram channel and my Instagram page at I am Shawnee Godwin. Hop on over to LinkedIn and connect with me there. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to be a resource to you. And most of all, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel right here. Come back here next week for some more goodness. Y'all, again, I am sharing all my tips, hacks. Oh my goodness. Who would ever know I'd be giving all the secrets away right here on this YouTube channel? If this blessed you, then share it with someone you know. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. And get on out here in this world and go be amazing. Shake off that stinking thinking and go do all that doggone good work you're called to do in this world. And we'll see you back here next week. Have a great week.